get up early. It's, quarantine time. So the time changes in quarantine time. I guess it's always later
It's always
or
later.
earlier.
There's no early mornings.
There's no days of the week and there's no time of the day. It's like it just all mushes together. But here we are. Great to see everyone. Great to see Marty. And we have Alex is going to join us today. This is a rare treat in that
We
he's
can see
always
that.
there, but he's always in the background. So today he's going to join us. So I hope
And now they get to see my ugly face in front of the camera.
and hear your opinions. That's what we're here
I
for.
know. I
That's
can't
even
wait.
worse. That's
That's
even
even, that's
worse.
what's that's what's
But
scaring
first,
me.
we're gonna start off with Marty. She's got a whole bunch of stuff. We weren't on the air last week, but there's a lot of things going on in town around the virus and what's happening and who's helping whom and all that stuff. So go ahead, Marty.
Okay, so in response to COVID-19, there's a group that's formed called Rockingham Help and Helpers. It came out of, it came grassroots out of some of the volunteers from the Take Action Rockingham, um, Greater Falls Connections, community members. I don't want to name a lot of names because I'm going to forget somebody and someone's going to be offended. But basically, it's a group of local volunteers that have been meeting and putting together um, a response team to help those that are there's going to be and there is already need here in the area, people that need help and then people that want to help. So that's why it became Rockingham Help and Helpers. So if you are at all inclined to want to find out about this group or this organization, then the web page is up. It's being hosted on the Rockingham Libraries page. So if you go to the rockinghamlibrary.org /Rockingham Help and Helpers, their page will come up. And it's a treasure trove of information. There's a donate button. So if anybody wants to do monetary donations, they're set up for donations now. The fiscal agent is Greater Falls Connections via HCRS. So they will be monitoring the money, making sure the money goes to the right place. So you can rest assured that it will get to the people that it needs to get to. And the nice thing is that usually when you have a fiscal agent, somebody takes a percentage of the donation coming in. That's been waived. So all of the money that you donate will go to the need in the community. So there's a donate button. There's a button for information. Like if you don't know what the need is for what are people looking for food? What are people looking for? There's a whole list you can download. There's a PDF you can take off. It tells you exactly what the need is for food, what types of food, diapers, things that are in need. And then there's been a drop-off center set up at the Waypoint Center. So the Waypoint Center drop-off is Monday through Friday from 9 to 10, Wednesdays from 5 to 6. I think they're still working out some of the kinks as to how the drop-off works, but it's no contact drop-off. I believe they're working on no contact pickup.
Yeah.
You can verify that. You drop some things off, didn't you?
Yeah, there was Chroma, which is really helping out, donated a bunch of um, rubber gloves, or I don't know what you call them now, rubber gloves or exam gloves or whatever. And I picked them up, or my wife picked them up, and then I dropped them off and it's basically it is it's no contact. They wait inside, you put your things on the porch, and then they come out and get them, and then it
Great.
goes back. So yeah, it works well. It's one of those things. They had already developed some protocols for food drop-offs and things like that, and they're just adapting those things to to this new process. And I think that's part of the Rockingham Help and Helpers is also it's not trying to reinvent every wheel, but they're
Right.
trying to like work with groups that are already doing it or follow protocols that are already set up so that it's not a bunch of new stuff.
Right. The nice thing is and I have to admit I haven't been to the meetings lately. They're at a bad time for me, but um the people that have been doing the boots on the ground work, if you go to the website, it's got it's a good landing place. I think that's right now there's so much information that you have to look here and you have to look here. If you go to the website, there's a whole list of items along the side. Like if you want to know how to reach unemployment, you click on unemployment and it tells you the most current information on unemployment. If businesses are looking to find out more about the CARES Act, You click on businesses, it gives you a list and links, like links to the Brattleboro Development Corporation, who's doing weekly Zooms for businesses to really help walk through the stages of all of this paperwork. Everything's in a wicked flow right now, so information is literally coming out on a daily
Yeah,
level. So, but at least it's a place to start. So, just a big shout out to everybody at Rockingham Helping Helpers. So you can donate, you can look for information, and you can also take the survey if you either need help or if you want to be a helper. So,
yeah. One of the things I would throw in is these, masks have become very popular now, and there are a lot of people online that are making masks, and a lot of people online that are looking for masks. And I think Helping Helpers is another place that is sort of a clearinghouse for that,
mhm.
either if you're making or looking for. So you might want to check that out.
And they're also working to connect with Janice Leary Jones from the farmers market
Oh,
to
yeah,
make sure that there's connections so people know what the local farmers are doing and what they're offering. Because
yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
it's the beginning of growing season. So, some of the people that go to the market have things like I don't remember the exact name of the farm, but there's a farm that's actually doing hand sanitizer, homemade hand sanitizer.
oh, interesting.
So they're working on putting those links together too, to connecting to almost like a local food hub, like where people can go
Yeah,
if they
yeah,
want to get locally grown eggs or locally, produced eggs or local things. So it's growing every day in its reach and its connection.
great. What else is happening on the Helping Helpers local thing going on there? Anything?
I think that's pretty much it. I think it's still a lot of as with anything, everything's in flux. Like they're working on the protocols of making sure that everything is non-contact pickup, non-contact drop off to keep the volunteers happy. I know there's been a few reach outs on Facebook. That's another place to look. A few reach out on Facebook. I believe there's someone on the team for Rockingham Helping Helpers that is really doing the grassroots phone calls and calling people and finding out if there's a need and if there's a gap in what they have available. They're posting that need on Facebook to see if there's a response. The other day I saw that there was a in need family that needed cat food. So
Yeah,
somebody,
yeah, I saw that too.
private
Yeah.
messaging for cat food. So it's very, very grassroots. It's very, but one of the things I'll actually talk about in the next section is talking about the one things you can do. If
Yeah,
there's one
yeah.
thing you can do, maybe when you go to the store, pick up a couple of extra things. Not, don't stockpile
Don't.
whatever, but pick up a couple of extra things that maybe you wouldn't use, but that are on the list, and just drop them off. If everybody dropped off a loaf of bread, if everybody dropped off, one loaf of bread, one roll of toilet paper, one roll of paper towels, they'll start to have inventory. I'm guessing they don't have a huge inventory right now.
Yeah, yeah. And then maybe if you happen to accidentally buy a case of toilet paper a couple
Accidentally
weeks
buy.
ago, not meaning to, you might want to, offload some of that toilet paper that is now becoming whatever. Anyway.
It's not as credible on the market as it was 2 weeks ago.
Yes. But anyway, I guess I don't know where we want to go next. We haven't quite planned this out. Um, do we want to talk about local businesses that because I noticed another thing to check as far as local resources is BIFTA has been
They'd be
posting
great.
a pretty comprehensive list of businesses that are open, businesses that are trying to stay open and doing some things or not doing other things. So you might want to check them out. That's Bellows Falls Development Corporation. I think they have a Facebook page. At least that's where I've been seeing it. Facebook seems to be the thing. I want to shout out to Village Square Booksellers, my source for books here during the quarantine. Alan has done an amazing job of somehow tapping into my mind and knowing what I would like to read
That's
because
scary.
I'm having a hard time. There's certain things I like to read, but it's like at the as your level of whether it's boredom or stir craziness goes up, it changes. And he seems to have a barometer on that. And he's given me a couple really good leads lately.
Nice. And they've got a whole system set up where you call them and they hand it through the door and,
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
again, it's another one of these, everybody's got masks on, it's airtight, there's no human contact, and no cat contact either yet, but we'll see. Go ahead.
So I'm going to see if I
Alex,
can,
pardon?
I was going to see if I could screen share the tips that I had.
Yeah,
So
go
you guys
ahead.
talk and I'll see if I can figure it out.
All right, Alex,
Yeah.
what
What's
you
up?
up to?
Oh yeah. So here, here at Fact TV, actually, we've been really busy because we have plenty of government meetings still to cover, and everyone's going on Zoom. So we have to remain open to be able to, tap into people's municipality Zoom feed and be able to bring that to you folks live on Facebook or our YouTube channel. So yeah, it's been really busy. So
Yeah, I see you're getting all the meetings up. I think some people might want to work on their Zoom appearance. Maybe you should give give some people a coaching class on
Zoom
what
tips.
you really want to look like on Zoom. Do you actually want to look like a hermit that's been locked up for 40 years?
Set up your own, TV, your own studio, with lighting and stuff like that. Do it yourself lighting, right?
Or
Yes,
put your
yes,
computer on a
that's what you have to
box so
do.
you're not looking down.
Yeah. Yeah.
It shows your chins.
Yeah.
So did that screen share come up for you guys?
Yes, it did.
It
I
did?
think if you want to go ahead and do that, we should go
Okay.
and do that piece right now.
Okay. It's up?
It's coming. There
Okay.
it is.
There it is. Okay, great. So I have named the first top five to stay alive. I know it's a little drastic, but it's true. Basically act as if. Assume that COVID is in the community now, and it is. So act as if. Wash your hands, avoid touching your face, stay 6 feet away, and shrink your social circle. Stick to your isolation group. I'm not seeing as much of that as I'm seeing a definite. As you drive around town, there's less and less people out, and there's, people are out if they're walking by themselves. But I think people are, maybe because we've been doing this for a few weeks now, people are maybe getting a false sense of security and maybe
Yeah,
getting a
that's
little
true.
antsy. I think so. I think it's good to reiterate. I don't think we in Vermont have seen the worst of it yet. I think we're on the peak of where the spike may occur. So pretty much act like it's out there, because it is. So, don't get lulled into that false sense of security that it's not, it's not going to affect us. It's, whatever. And then, so that was kind of the negative side, the top 5 to stay alive. And then there's the top 5 to thrive, because we can thrive during this. We can, take this time, this quiet time, and actually make it work in our favor. And that would go act as if also to have a routine. I think, I don't know about you, but personally, that's the thing I've struggled with the most, is my entire work life routine got blown up. And I'm starting to get a routine back, and kind of acting as if my routine is normal and this is my new normal, and going to work and doing things. And this is just a shout out, for the love of God, people, get out of your pajamas. I'm just,
and put pants on.
And put pants on. especially if you're doing number 2 to get outside for at least 30 minutes daily, please put on your pants. Reach out to others. Last week I did a FaceTime coffee chat with a friend. We did a Zoom dinner with some couples last week. My neighbor, who was sitting out on her porch at a very good social distance, and I was sitting out on my porch Saturday morning, we had a great chat. And limit your social media. I think that, we can get caught up in reading all of the stuff on Facebook, the tips and the tricks and the gloom and the doom. And while it is very important, it can make you kind of crazy. So limit your social media. And the biggest one of all is practice self-acceptance. this isn't maybe a time that you're going to get everything done, that you're going to be at your best, that you're going to get your to-do list knocked off. Take the time to maybe figure out what's important, and moving forward, how your new routine might look. Maybe your new routine won't be quite so busy. And then I just wanted to end with something is better than nothing. If each of us does a little bit of something every day to protect one another, to keep our community strong and vital, a whole lot of some things is a lot better than a whole lot of nothing. So those are kind of my little words of Marty wisdom.
That's
And I
good.
learned
We
to
need
skincare.
those.
I'm so proud.
That number 4 goes to Floyd Lawrence out there. I'm calling him out right now. Sue says we're going to have an intervention if you don't get off that CNN and Fox News. That's
Oh,
all I'm
Lord.
saying. So cut it out, Floyd. Start singing. Get some CDs out. Get some
There you
videos.
go. He should do an acoustic from his living room concert.
Yeah.
That's what a lot
Now
of
we're
artists were
talking.
talking about that. A lot of artists were doing that.
I
Did
saw
you miss
some
that
over the
part of
weekend that were incredible, that were really good. I mean, it was a whole different dimension on seeing somebody in their living room
Mhm.
playing. It was just really cool. Right, Alex?
That's right. Yeah. That screensaver kind of screwed things up, but we're
Oh
good.
no,
Okay.
did it?
No, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, we're back.
Sorry.
Well, I was watching a thing where you can actually do your own, because it's something you can do on Zoom is your own backgrounds, and I haven't looked at it much, but they were doing a Pee Wee Herman background, and you could be zombie, or I can't remember the guy that was the genie that was in the screen. I may come back as him one day. We'll see.
Oh Lord.
you
You have way
There's
too much
this.
time.
at the beach.
There you
Come at
go.
the
All
beach.
right. Now we're talking. So Alex, what's
Actually,
happening in town
really cool.
government?
What's happening in town government? Well, so how come I'm not switching over? But anyways,
I can see you and I can hear you.
yeah, there's a lot of things that happen in every single town. I mean, it's politics. There's a lot of things going on, but the most recent one is they decided not to renew the manager's contract. This is for the village of Bells Falls and the town of Rockingham. So that's kind
But
of
she's been there so long. I can't
yeah,
understand it.
yes, 2 years. 2 years when her contract's done. So, I think the turnover rate, and I don't know what the solution to this problem is, but the turnover rate is pretty high over the last 10 years. I mean, it's actually right in line with
Yeah, she's right at the time.
sort of compositions of the board. Like every 2 years, the composition of the boards change, and it's kind of right in line with that. So, just don't think it's a good thing for the town and the village, and they need to figure out something, in terms of that.
Do you think it's inherent in the nature of the fact that someone has to answer to 2 boards? Do you think that's just an inherent, like, I know there's not much that can be done about it, but I think that that's an inherently difficult position to put anyone in. If anyone's ever worked for a board, working for 2 boards, I can't even imagine. I'm not saying that, you have to balance all of those personalities and all of their
Mhm.
agendas versus your agenda and the entity's agenda. And that's a lot of juggling. It's a juggling with a board of a normal board of like 6 or 8. Imagine two boards that, I can't imagine.
Yeah, that's one of them. 2 boards, 2 interests, 2 different interests that can be in conflict with each other. That and they had the Rockingham Select Board meeting last night, and Ray Masuka went over the manager style of government. So if you're a town or a village and you choose to have a manager, then you have to follow Vermont statutes that applies to that form of government. And so basically, the board sets policy and sets the budget, and their only employee is the manager, and every other department head in the town or the village is under the manager's purview. So they're the only ones that can hire or fire or discipline um, employees or anyone within the town. That's the manager's style. And there's a lot of other statutes that they have to follow. But one of the biggest things is that they designed it that way to make the position a sort of non-political position. But people are people, and politics is politics. And I don't care who you are. You put the time and the energy to get elected onto a board because you feel like you have a better way to run the town. Now, you may not have any leadership skills because I'm sorry, I don't. I mean, most of the board members don't have leadership skills in our town. I'm sorry about that. But you're there for you're not there for you're there for good reason. You're there. You think that you have good ideas to run a town, and it's natural. You want to be able to make those changes. And this is not just the village or the Bells Falls or the town. This is everywhere. This is every town, every locality. This is human nature. This is politics. And so the manager's position in the last 10 years has become a political, designed not to be like that, but it is political because
it's totally
at the end of the day, every manager gets let go or fired for political reasons because they're not in line with the board, and the board wants that a board may not like a particular position or feel like a particular employee department head is not doing their job, or they want someone else in there. The manager gets fired. If the manager makes some sort of unilateral decision, like which they have that ability under Vermont statute. I mean, what happened to Chip Stearns? Now, I don't care what your opinion is on it, but what happened? I mean, you had
Bridgewoodgate.
Bridgegate.
Bridgewoodgate, excuse me. He put the Bridgewood in the wrong place, and the Harpies got him.
Yeah, he sold some wood that he wasn't supposed to, or wasn't approved, or there was confusion about whether or not it was approved, and there were other things, but obviously it wasn't just his performance. It's just there were board members or people on the board at that time that felt like that he wasn't the manager that they wanted, so they got rid of him, and it cost a lot of money. So it's already a political position.
Yeah.
And
as an outsider, I still consider myself sort of an outsider in town. You see that it's just there's so many long-term, I don't even know what to call them, cliques and old timers and things that have been around for so long that when a person comes in new and has a different idea, everybody is like, well, we never did it that way, or da 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 da. And pretty soon they've ticked off one of those old school royal families, and then you're done.
You're done.
That's just
you get elected or whatever. It's a political position, and there's a lot of pitfalls. The same thing with your if you're the manager and your employees or your department heads.
Yeah,
hey man, if I was a department head, if I didn't like the manager, I would suck up to their face and maybe do because my performance doesn't really matter. Because
it's
they can try to get rid of me, but I got my buddies on the select board or whatever. I don't think this is how it is now, but I can always,
I don't think you're too far off.
I can always, sit at the coffee shop or hang out at the recycling center and, espouse my views on my boss to the select board members under the table. I mean, come on, that stuff happens all the time. It's not just here, it's everywhere. It's politics. And, that's what happens. That's why we have the manager turnover. I mean, it was designed not to be a political position. It is a political position. It's obvious. And I think for me personally, in my opinion, I think the only way is they do manager goals. Each board does, but it usually kind of tails off during the board meetings. And so they don't define it. Like, we as the board vote on this. Here are our goals. Here's the policy. Very 10 steps, and at least have that out front in the meeting, so at least come to an agreement whereby if the manager, it doesn't matter if they fire everyone in the town, right, as long as they're completing every, as long as they're completing the goals, because that are, have been assigned by the board shouldn't be micromanaging or feel like they
Yeah.
have to micromanage, or
But
at
they
least,
do. I mean, that's part of that's one of the issues, is that they believe that they manage everything
and
instead
that's
of
human nature.
managing
This
just,
isn't to call out anyone. It's human nature. People that get elected to boards that just want to make sure, you're there because you want to make changes and you're elected to represent those changes. That's why I would recommend a non-manager style of government, to get rid of the manager. I feel like it's already a political position. If you want the position as a board member, then, and you want to be able to affect those changes, then you'll have to do the extra work and take the responsibility. So I would say it's a lot cheaper to get rid of a board member than it is a town manager. And if you don't have the manager style of government, the board is the managing authority, and you would have a town administrator or a vicar who's gonna whatever. I don't know.
yeah, that's what we need.
Do your bidding, whatever you do, handle any daily tasks you need, but they are not the head of all your department heads.
Is
Department
that
heads
what they're,
report
is
to
that what
you,
they're
the
leaning
select
toward?
board,
Yeah.
or the trustees, and that way the responsibility is on the board. They can't blame the manager for any problems. If the town's being mismanaged, it's their fault. And I mean, there's obviously we have a leadership turnover, all the with the manager style government. So it's I don't having the non-manager style of government. Your turnover is going to be the same, but at least this way, we're not wasting a lot of money. At least this way, you just vote them out of office. And
Yeah, if
that's
you're
it.
gonna throw people out every 2 years anyway.
Yeah.
Instead of paying all the severance and the parachutes and the legal fees for their um, appeals and everything else, you can just do something
Yeah,
else.
see you later. Bye. Vote it out.
All
You didn't do
right,
your
we gotta
job.
move on now. How's
is
our
that
time
what they're
looking there,
leaning
Alex?
towards, though? Just
Pardon?
a quick question to Alex. Is that what they're leaning towards? Was that the discussion?
No,
at
I made that suggestion.
off?
I feel
Okay.
like I think both boards need to consider, and town and village residents need to consider a different form of government. Now, it may still be a manager style of government, but see, a lot of the manager's performance is done in an executive session. So we really don't have any idea of what circumstances led to any manager getting canned, except rumors and so on and so forth.
Rumors and innuendo.
Innuendo.
And I think at least you have an open session review. Like, you could only get rid of a manager based upon those goals you set each year, and if they didn't execute those goals in policy.
But if they were an elected official and not an employee, then they wouldn't have to go to executive session in
Yeah.
order to
Yeah, you just
to
open
talk
meeting.
about these
You're doing a
things. And then
horrible
people
job.
could yeah,
Doing a
people
horrible
could
job.
see what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think Ray gave his little speech last night, or his
No,
lesson?
he didn't give a speech.
It was a lesson.
Every new board, Ray
Oh.
comes in and talks about the resources that are available and how you're supposed to proceed as a board and proceed
Oh.
as a board member legally. But he did highlight the manager's style of government and what that means. So yeah, check out that meeting. It does
Yeah.
has some great information.
Check out all the meetings. And I have another bone to pick with you, because now my wife is unemployed because of you guys.
Yeah, because of Zoom, yeah. Yeah,
She
because
had
of
just
Zoom.
started her new career and now out on the street. What kind of employer are you? I'm calling you out there, Alex Stradling.
Yeah. She can go and film meetings if you want to put yourself at risk.
And the inside joke. Sorry, I haven't seen Alex in a while,
Yeah.
and so I have to get my inside jokes here on the feed. How's our time going?
We're over, but we're good.
What do you think, Marty?
I think we pretty much hit the topics we wanted to hit for this week.
I think we did. I actually enjoyed this, and I'm hoping we can do it next week and get back on the feed again.
Yep.
Because it was sort of disruptive, this whole getting things, and I have to come in. Honestly, I have to come in to do this because I live at the end of the internet, and anytime I start doing this stuff, my internet goes all squirrely. So
You say your squirrel doesn't run fast enough to keep your
yeah,
internet
it's
going?
definitely not running fast. It's something's bad up there. So anyway, but it was good. It was good seeing you guys.
Good to see
This is
you as
my
well.
first social contact outside of Nina, my dog, and Sue, my wife. So this is good. I like it.
Perfect.
Cool.
And maybe we can look into trying to get a guest on.
That's a great idea. Well, you know, with the Zoom thing, we could have multiple guests. We could have a musical guest. Floyd could come on and do a number. It could be amazing. We could do some
Yeah.
good stuff. And then I thought of something and it just slipped my mind again, but I think that's it for, I guess it's our disclaimer. All opinions expressed on the feed are the opinions of the people you're looking at right now and not the official opinions of Fact
Okay,
TV.
I want a disclaimer that of the opinions of who is speaking, not who you're looking at.
Let's really cut it.
This-
Let's
these are not
really
when you're
bring it right
into
into,
zeroing
this
in.
is, it's either my opinion, Alex's opinion, or Marty's opinion.
Yeah.
So-
This is my opinion, and I'm tired of being told I can't talk, so I'm going to talk.
Good for you.
I am going to be talking every week.
You are Alex. Hear me roar.
Hear me roar.
Here we go.
There will be no unnamed people who are in positions of power catcalling me across the street, telling me I can't talk. No more.
All right.
You only got
No
one
more.
life to live.
Okay. All right. That's it, I think, for this week. Thank you, guys. And if you guys liked it, let us know. If you didn't like it, yeah.
Not like it.
All right. Like it. See you guys.